Welcome back to another episode of the Smith Boys Podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Connor.
Clickety clink.
Clickety clink, brother.
Yeah, welcome back, Carter.
Brother, today we got a little bit of an NFL topic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
This is a kind of a unique topic because this has been hot in the news lately with Saquon Barkley holding out. He just recently signed with the Giants. Josh Jacobs is still the remaining guy that's holding out with my Raiders.
And we've been trying to get to this podcast for about, I don't know.
3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours now because we started the Michigan podcast trying to talk about this topic, and somehow or another we got talking on a Michigan podcast and it went full-fledged Michigan.
And then it got to now we got to do the Alabama podcast.
Yeah.
So we had to do a whole Alabama podcast. So now we are finally going to do the NFL running back situation.
This is the one we've both kind of been looking forward to,
Yeah,
I think.
so. Actually, you know what, brother? I gotta hijack this segment here. Is hijack this podcast. I gotta mention here. It's something I'm proud of. Last weekend, I shot a 35 at Copper Hills, one under par.
That's a hell of a.
One under par shot, 35 at Copper Hills.
That's a great course.
And then followed it up with a 37 at Blackheath the next day.
Just keep making pars, asshole.
I'll take 18 of them all day long.
So you're talking 35 and 37. And this guy right here, two best rounds I've ever played in golf in my life. I'm playing some damn good golf lately.
Yeah, that's pretty good, bro.
35 Copper Hills, that's one under par for 9, brother.
Copper Hills is a hell of a
That's
course.
hard. That's hard course.
Yeah,
that's a tough track. I shot one under par.
I find that to be a hard course.
Dad was there for every shot. And he was like, man, it's just fun to me. It's just fun for me to watch you play. Watch somebody play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And I'm like, sure as shit, yeah, just watch me play, old man. Just sit in the cart and watch me play, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you don't want to watch Scooby-Doo?
The hell you got?
I got it on Scooby-Doo. Come on, brother. You're going to put it on Starship Troopers? Nah, Scooby-Doo's the way to go. So the NFL right now is in I don't know what you want to call it, brother, but they are having kind of a problem when it comes to a specific position, and it is the running back position of the NFL.
I disagree with you on the.
Well, okay, yeah. Whether it's a problem or not is going to be dependent on who you align with. I don't really see it as a problem for the NFL. I see it as a problem for the running backs because these running backs feel like they are being underpaid and undervalued, and whether that is true or not depends on who you are. For me, as an owner or a general manager as a team, to me, it's just your position is just not that valuable to me in today's game. It's just I got a guy like Josh Jacobs, or I got a guy like Saquon Barkley, who are first-round draft picks. Guys that are taken. I mean, Barkley was taken, I think, top 5. I think Josh Jacobs was taken like number 8 overall. These are guys that are taken high in the first round.
You can even include Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry's another one. And these are guys that are getting paid $9-10 million a year, but are wanting, $13, $14, $15 million a year. Okay? And now it's getting to a point where all these other positions, receivers, quarterbacks, defensive backs, defensive ends, are getting premium pay. These guys are getting paid tons of money per year, $20 million a year.
Yep.
Okay? Now, the running backs feel like they're slighted, and I get it, because a guy like Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing last year.
Yeah.
In rushing yards. I don't know what he had, like 1,600 yards, 1,700 yards rushing, something like that for my Raiders. Had a great season, okay? And he's still holding on. He recently left Las Vegas and just left, and he's not reporting to camp. He's done. I ain't coming back. Now, Saquon Barkley kind of did the same thing for the Giants until they reached term.
They
re-signed him because they were going to franchise him, which I think is what they still did. They franchised him, but they gave him more incentives for the contract. They franchised him, but added incentives to it. If you reach such and such incentives, we'll pay you, so much more money for your contract. Now, the crux of today's podcast is the running back position, and I guess we'll just lead it off here, brother. I'm going to ask you, what do you feel about the running back position in today's NFL? Is it overvalued, undervalued, properly valued? Where do you see these guys? Do they have any leg to stand on when it comes to asking for the money they're asking for?
I love the question because here I think I have a unique. It's not black or white to me.
Shades of gray.
Yeah, well, I feel the
50
position.
shades of them.
I feel the position is extremely valuable when you have a really good player in that position.
No shit.
That can do a lot of things over a period of 5 years or so.
Alvin Kamara.
Marshall Faulk. You know, like you look at guys like, I go back to probably the greatest running back.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell.
Who was kind of the initial catalyst of this whole issue.
Well,
When he sat out and
He
didn't
sat
play.
out.
He refused to play the whole
Yeah.
season, and his career was done after that.
It really was.
And
went
he
to the
was a
Jets,
do-it-all.
He was never the same.
He was a jack of all trades.
He was one of the more unique runners I've ever seen. You know, the patience he would have and
Yeah,
skirting
but he
through.
could catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, he could do
he
everything.
was a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I mean, you look at an Alvin Kamara, you look at an LT. I mean, LaDainian Tomlinson was like, you talk about do it all, dude. LT could do it all.
Yeah.
But I grew up, I wanted to touch on this, is I grew up in the era of the 90s, and so I saw Barry,
Emmett,
and Thurman.
Thurman Thomas.
You know, I saw the big backs of Jerome Bettis, Natron Means.
Tron Means.
You know, I saw Curtis Martin, you know, in his prime. I saw
Marshall Faulk.
I saw Marshall Faulk in his prime. I saw Sean Alexander in his prime. You know, Priest Holmes with that couple good years that he had. You know, I mean, I grew up watching those types
Jamal
of guys.
Charles.
Oh, Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis.
You know, I grew up watching those types of guys, and like Barry was the type of guy that here in Detroit, dude, it was you would never see another guy like that. I mean, the game is totally different, and I think the game has evolved to, like I said, you have a guy that can provide an immense amount of value, but that immense amount of value is only provided for a short amount of time.
Sure.
And
100%.
so you're kind of constantly looking to provide that value every few years. You're seeking, okay, this guy is chewed up. I can, you know, it just, I'm sorry, but that's just the nature of the job, the position, the sport. That's the game. Everybody gets chewed up eventually. Father Time is undefeated.
I'm undefeated, never lost.
But over that short period of time, guys are on their rookie deals and they're getting paid shit, right? And so then they're chewed up, like Jahmyr Gibbs. Here's a prime example of what's going to happen. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to come here, light the goddamn world on fire, score 20 touchdowns rookie year, or maybe he scores 15 touchdowns his rookie year. Next year he scores 20. Next year he scores 20. You know, and now he's looking towards the end of his rookie deal, right? Because you could see that happening, right?
Sure.
And maybe he has, you know, 1,400 yards this year. He's got 1,700 and 1,800 in the next couple of years, right? I mean, he's just cooking on all
He's
cylinders.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's had 3 years of wear and tear on his body already, right? Like, how much more is he really going to do over the next 3 to 4 or 5 years?
So do you want to pay him
He's
$12
not-
million a year?
I find it hard to believe. Like, that's the gamble, right? Like, people don't understand is like, he's not going to do that again in the next contract. I'm sorry, but people are misleading themselves with thinking the previous 3 years at that level is going to produce the next 3 years. It's not the same. Like, you see it all the time, and people don't want to acknowledge it. Their Homer glasses get on, and that's not the same, brother. Now, you look at a Josh Jacobs. You know, Saquon Barkley is probably the best athlete, aside from Bo Jackson, I've ever seen play running back. Just phenomenal. But he blew his knee out his rookie year, or second year, whatever it was. He was never the same. I would never invest that kind of money into him. Like, you got to invest it into the quarterback position and skill positions around him. Now, look at Kansas City. You know, you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco. You got 3 guys that are all situational pieces that fit into what do I want to do in this situation. That's football. It's not a one guy fits everything kind of scheme, because one guy no longer fits today's NFL. And so you have to have chess pieces on the board or at your disposal that you can use to do what you want. It's not the Barry Sanders era anymore.
No, it's not the Evan Smith era where guys are getting 35 carries.
So this is a passionate topic for me because I love the running back position. I love those types of guys. I mean, like Michigan, Blake Corum, love him. Donovan Edwards, love him.
Brother, you hated Donovan Edwards. He runs like a blind man.
He does run like a blind man, but he's getting better.
If anything, I was the Donovan Edwards guy.
He's getting better. But I just view this all as the running back position is becoming devalued because you do need to look at it more as a situational piece. You need to focus more on, like, if you have a good running back, you can ride him a long way. Look at the Titans and Derrick Henry. But if you have a quarterback like a Mahomes, like a Burrow, like a Josh Allen, like an Aaron Rodgers, that can carry the team and put the ball. Quarterbacks are facilitators of the football. That's what they are. Is putting the ball in playmakers' hands in space to articulate the ball down the field. That's all football. That's all the quarterback's position really is. And who can do that the best and have those types of players? Having a dominant running back, like, what's that going to do? Like, in anything that limits you, right? Because teams that have dominant running backs, look at Adrian Peterson. They always had shit quarterbacks in Minnesota. Derrick Henry. They always had shit quarterbacks in Tennessee.
Barry. You always had shit quarterbacks in Detroit.
I mean, Aikman and Emmett were the only ones that were any good. And look how many titles they won. Look at LT. LT was one of the best running backs of all time. He never won a title. It's because they always had shit quarterbacks. I mean, John Elway didn't win shit until he had a running game. But it was Terrell Davis, and they had a great offensive line. It was more of a team approach. Elway was at the tail end of his career at that point.
He retired after a second.
So, you look at the running back position, and I love it because those are the most spectacular plays and highlights to me is the running back stuff. I mean, look at the
highlights,
the berries of the
Marshawn Lynch run in the playoffs.
Dude, like
those
are great. Those are the stiff arms and shit. Remember Frank Gore and Garrison Hurst. Remember Garrison Hurst moving stiff arms and Curtis Martin and shit, man.
All the Derrick Henry stiff arms.
Oh man. LeGarrette Blount, just Mike Allstott, those are fantastic to me. But I feel like, the game has evolved to a running back that has to be able to run, catch, do everything, but it's situational.
It's situational, but to me, it's also a position where there's so many guys that I can find to do that and not have to pay them premium dollars.
Exactly.
To do it. Like I can find a guy like say Josh Jacobs runs for 1,600 yards and 14 touchdowns or whatever he did last year.
That's a good year.
And that's a good year. But he had a shit ton of carries. His average per carry wasn't that good. He could pull it off, whatever his.
How many did he have?
Average.
Did he had over 300 carries?
I think so. I think he did.
That's a lot of carries.
Yeah, that's a lot of carries. But it's like it's almost like nowadays I could draft any running back in the 4th round, give him the ball 300 times, and expect him to run for 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns.
Well, 1,200.
Yeah, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 yards. 1,200 to 1,400.
He rushed for 340 times. Dude, that's a lot.
340 times is a ton. How what was his average yards per carry?
4.9.
4.9 yards per carry?
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually pretty damn good.
4.9 is pretty good.
That's
12
pretty
touchdowns and 1,650 yards.
That's pretty damn good.
But that's a lot of carries.
That's a lot of carries. That is a ton of carries. That's a lot of wear and tear. And now he's holding out because Vegas just decided your rookie deal's coming up, and I'm just not going to pay you $12 million a year and give you a 4-year contract because they think you're not going to sustain this. And I don't think he is either, because the running back position is just, in nowadays game, is pretty much done after 4 years.
Let's talk about Dalvin Cook. Here's another guy that was just released by Minnesota.
Yep.
Had a fantastic year last year.
Fantastic career when he's healthy.
Yes.
One of the best running backs
And
in the
Minnesota
league.
has cut him.
Yeah.
27 years old. Josh Jacobs, 27 years old.
Both, kind of, I guess you could say, in their prime.
Saquon Barkley, 27 years old. Who was the other guy here? There was another one. It was incredible to me, all these guys that were 27 years old.
Which is what in the NFL.
Kareem Hunt, Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott. Leonard Fournette is only 28. I feel like I have known about Leonard Fournette should be
like
35 years old.
Leonard Fournette should be like in his early 30s.
He's 28, and he looks like he is done. He has been done.
He looks like he's been done for 3 years.
Yes. I mean, when he was in Jacksonville, when he ended Jacksonville, I felt like he was done. But Brady resurrected him for a year or two, and he got a title out of it, you know. But Leonard Fournette looks to me, he's 28. He looks like he's 38.
In today's game, I feel like if you draft a running back, you're doing it knowing you're getting like maybe 3 years out of it till they're like 26.
So like that's the whole
26.
thing with the Lions pick, and I think that's one thing that nobody really wanted to touch on. You and I did because we're more, you know, realistic Lions, you know, observers. But you drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. You get 3 years out of him. Do you win anything in those 3 years?
Go to the Lions, so they ain't gonna win shit.
But do you see my point?
Yeah.
You drafted this kid 12th overall.
Do they draft him if Jameson Williams isn't suspended, though? Do they draft him?
I get the feeling, yeah, they would.
See, I don't know. I feel
Everything I've read, everything I've heard is they were in love with Jahmyr Gibbs. So they were going to get Jahmyr Gibbs. But
that scares me then.
I feel like, though, in that window that you have before his rookie deal is up, are you going to win anything?
Well,
That's the question.
I don't think the Lions will
Everything,
win anything.
every other question's irrelevant, right? Because if you don't win in that 4-year window that you have him, was it worth it? Was it the right selection? Because you could argue, no, it was not.
Yeah, because you could have drafted anyone else, literally anyone else.
Jalen Carter, who's tearing it up in Philadelphia, by the way.
How do you? What he is?
Oh yeah.
What, in camp or something?
Oh yeah. He's annihilating the offensive line. Everybody's like, he's a maniac.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So
What have I done?
God damn it, brother.
well, shit, what you do? So that's where we wanted to kind of get to, brother.
So what do you think the NFL should do?
Nothing.
You think
Nothing. Capitalist. This is a capitalistic.
Well, does this
view.
kill the running back position then? Does this
No.
lead people to
No.
away from wanting to be running backs in the college game, in the high school game?
No.
Why would you want to be a running back?
The smart way to do this, if I'm a running back, I think Michigan has the perfect approach.
Why am I not surprised, you piece of shit?
It's the old thunder and lightning. Now, Michigan doesn't have necessarily thunder and lightning. They kind of have like lightning with Edwards and Blake Corum, but like it's almost like you want to have multiple running backs. Like I think Kansas City's got the great thing with Jerick McKinnon. Who was the other kid I just said?
Isaiah Pacheco.
Pacheco. Oh my God, dude. He
And
can
Clyde
do it.
Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, all three of these guys can do everything.
Yeah, but I get it as a team aspect where they got the three guys, but it's going to come to a point when you're the running back, like when you're a Saquon Barkley and you look back and you're like, why would I want to be a running back now? Because like Saquon Barkley's feeling
Yeah,
like...
but you're still going to make good money. I mean, you can still make good money at that position. I mean, what other position are you going to be at that size?
Well, I'm just
You're going
saying-
to play on the defensive side of the ball?
But from their point, I'm just playing devil's. I agree with you 100%. But I'm just playing devil's advocate from their point of view, from a Josh Jacobs point of view, from a Derrick Henry's point of view, from a Saquon Barkley's point of view.
Well,
From those guys' point of view is I deserve to be paid like $14 million a year.
The whole point,
you're not
though,
going to give it to me.
But my point is like you're hoping by playing with those types of guys, we're like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now he's kind of gotten beat up, but Pacheco and
I'm retarded?
who was the other guy that we were talking about? Kansas
Derrick
McKinnon. All these guys you're hoping prolong each other's career by taking less hits off of everybody else, brother. So you're hoping to get that second contract.
I know,
Because there
brother,
is
but,
more
but,
tread
but
on
my
the tire.
point. But my point is these guys like.
Just turn it on.
But these guys like like Josh Jacobs in particular. Like Josh Jacobs was like 60% of the Raiders' offense last
Yeah,
year.
it's not realistic.
And they're off, and they won't give him like $14 million or $13 million. They're say they only want to give him like $8 or $9 million, but from his point of view, which I get, is like, dude, like I'm like 60% of your offense. You should be paying me $16 million a year.
But they don't feel like that's going to happen again.
I know, but that's where I'm saying, like, that's where the disconnect is between the team and the players. So, like, who are you siding with? Like, do you think the team is in the right? Do you think the player's in the right? Because when you look at, like, LaDainian Tomlinson in the old days with the Chargers, LaDainian Tomlinson had to have been, like, 80% of the Chargers' offense.
Dude, he scored 31 touchdowns in one season.
And
I'll never forget it.
And they weren't paying him like he should have been paid.
No.
So, like, who should you side with? Should the running backs like Josh Jacobs make more money because they're such a large percentage of the offense? Or is it just, I don't care how much a percentage of the offense are, you're a running back, and the most you should be paid is $8 to $9 million, and that's it.
This goes back to an old argument I saw on PTI one time, and it was like Kobe Bryant chimed in against some European soccer guy. He was like a team manager or whatever. And
he died.
What? No way.
Kobe?
Yeah. But the whole argument was about paying players on that next contract. Of like, am I paying you for what you've done, or am I paying you for what you're going to do? Kobe's argument was, you're paying me for what I've done. And I remember watching PTI, and Michael Wilbon was like, he agreed with Kobe. Well, of course he is. Wilbon's an idiot. But the fact of the matter is, you would have to agree from a business standpoint with the soccer guy, the European soccer guy.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean?
I want to pay you for what you're gonna do.
Exactly. I love Kobe to death, but like, no, dude, what you've done for me is great. But like, if you're 38 years old, I'm not gonna pay you
for what you did the first 18 years of your career.
Yeah, dude. Like I got to think about the future. Like, you're done, dude. You're done. So, I think that's where a lot of people get misvalued. Like, look at DeAndre Hopkins. He signed a 2-year deal for $26 million, $13 million a year, right? I mean, that's his value. Everyone's like, oh, bring him in. Like, he's Nuke. Well, like, Nuke's baked. Like, he's on the other side of 30, or close to it anyway. He's had shit quarterbacks most of his career. He's been beaten up.
He got suspended for PED use.
Yeah, I mean, he just never really.
He's kind of a head case.
Yeah, he never really kind of got in a good situation, and he didn't make it any better on himself. Those types of situations happen all the time. So, with the running back position, I just look at it as there's nothing else you can do. I just think
Do you think the league should change the rules?
No,
maybe?
the game has changed.
Do you think the league should maybe change like the contracts for running backs? I've heard some interesting
Like
takes
what?
where the running backs are able to reach free agency sooner instead, like if they're drafted earlier, instead of having like a 5-year. That fifth-year option, they're able to get to free agency after like their second year instead of like their fourth or fifth year. Like, they're able to reach free agency sooner so they can get that second contract sooner. They can get paid sooner if they're good.
I don't know. Then you're going to open it up for everything. I just think that's the nature of the beast. I really do.
I agree with you, because I think it's like, how much money do you need, really? It's also like, if you're smart with your money, like Josh Jacobs is making damn good money. Even though he was a first-round draft pick and his contract's coming to an end, if he just settles and signs with the Raiders and takes like $7 million a year for the next 4 years, like, you're going to make $28-30 million. It's like, dude, if you're smart with your money, that's damn good living, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, but I just think,
how much more money do you need?
Yeah, I'm not trying to tell people not to go make more money.
I mean,
if you can make more money, go make more money.
But you're not going to make. But that's my point. Is like, if you can make more money, then go make more money. But you're not going to make more money in the NFL as a running back. Like, it's just not going to happen. Your position is not valued to where you're going to make more money. It's just not.
No.
So I see it as just like, dude, just take your $7 million for 4 years, take your $28-30 million, invest your money well. Retire when you're 30 as a running back, and live well.
Yeah.
Don't have CTE and have all kinds of injuries. But if you're like Adrian Peterson, playing till you're 50, and get a gig on Fox, as as an analyst after, or like as a color commentator on CBS or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that the position is going to kind of work itself out over the evolution of the game.
It's been devalued for sure.
Yeah, but I think the evolution of the game really dictates all of it. Like you look at now, like we were saying earlier in the Alabama pod, it's like you look at Michigan and Alabama and Georgia, they've become more of a running style of team. So the value back on a good running back has been there. Obviously, Corum and Edwards. Like you look at that. You look at Georgia. Who did Georgia have as their running backs? They had two good backs. I can't remember.
Was it McIntosh and?
But it was a tandem.
Yeah, it was McIntosh and I can't remember the frig's name.
Yeah, but you get my point. So I think that like the game evolves, and so like the game is kind of more changing now in the college level. And the college level really dictates the NFL level because of the players that they're putting in. You know what I mean? So it's like you look at a Michigan, you look at a Georgia, it's ground and pound. Like those are the types of players that are coming into the NFL. Those are going to be the really good players. So you have to look at that evolution. It all is cyclical. So I don't think you're ever going to have a Thurman, Thomas, Barry, Emmett kind of thing again.
The days of guys getting 30, 35 carries a game and running for 150 yards.
But you're going to have an Elvin Kamara that has,
10 carries and 15 catches.
Exactly. He's going to get 25, 20 touches a game, but it's going to be in various ways where he has such an impact on the game in more than just running the football.
Yeah, he'll get 10 carries up the middle or on the outside, and then he'll get 5 screen passes.
Yeah.
And then he'll get 5 catches out of the slot.
Yeah.
And then there's his 20 touches.
Yeah.
He
gets
he'll have
120 yards.
120, 140 yards and a touchdown or two.
Exactly.
And, and is in the race to be a league MVP because he's so versatile.
Yeah.
And that's where Jahmyr Gibbs is looking like.
I see that, but like even Elvin Kamara's baked, in my opinion.
Yeah, Kamara was a guy, he was a superstar for
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, 2 or 3 or 4 years.
I would say 3 good years. I don't know, maybe a 4th year for a little bit, but I would say for at least 3 years, 3 good years.
He was a stud.
3 solid years, he was like the name in the NFL.
That's my point.
And then he's done.
That's my point. Is like, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott. He had 3 good years and he's done. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have 3 or 4 good years and be done.
Nick Chubb is probably on his last good year or so for Cleveland.
I mean, who is the
Derrick Henry?
Joe Mixon's done.
Derrick Henry is probably Derrick Henry's kind of a freak because he's like 6'4".
Derrick Henry's done.
I bet Derrick Henry still runs for 1,000 yards.
I bet he does, but I think he's done. So I just think exactly what Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a little guy. He's not big. He's fast. You're gonna get 4 good years out of him. They're gonna wow you, and then what are you gonna do?
He won't sign another contract here.
No,
the Lions won't pay him.
I mean, like
if they're smart,
that's the position. I'm sorry, but that's the position.
I agree with you, brother. Well, let us know what you think in the comments then down there below. What do you think about the running back situation in the NFL? Should they pay these guys? Are we on point with what our takes are?
Saquon was another one. I mean, oh my God, I hate Penn State, but I love watching Saquon Barkley play. It's just unreal.
I'm just not going to pay a running back though.
No,
I can draft a guy in the 4th round to produce about as much as what I can draft a guy in the 4th round and pay him peanuts for what I am going to pay a 1st round guy that's making $13 million to produce.
I tell you, the other thing that I've seen in the NFL that's really changed over the last couple of years is the defensive side of the ball, and I've seen it more with Michigan when they hired Mike McDonald. And now I see it even more with Jesse Minter. But I see it in the NFL. It's very complicated. They have complicated the defensive side of the ball and the schemes and stuff. I think the defense is so much better nowadays. And I think in the college game when you watch Michigan play, and you watch Georgia play with all the athletes they had, I mean, they just dominated teams, And I think you see a lot of that where they have athletes at other positions. Is my point. You're putting them more on the defensive side of the ball to stop them. You're putting guys that can run in space, and from a running back, now you're a safety. Now you're a linebacker. You know what I mean? You're 6 foot. You're 6'1", 225. You're a linebacker now. I don't know.
Brother, I think we touched on it pretty good there. Let us know what you think. Like and subscribe. We got to get at least 2 more subscribers. That's all we want. We don't care if you make us millionaires with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. We just want 50. so we can live stream. So we need at least 2 subscribers.
Yeah.
So like or subscribe.
Please.
Subscribe. Just 2 people. That's all we need. So until the next podcast, Smith Boys, out.